Hello YouTube viewers. I got another four-wheeler project in the shop. If you can't tell already, it's a 1988 Yamaha Warrior. I bought it non-running from a kid down in Ohio for 600 bucks. It was his uncle's. His uncle bought it new and gave me the owner's manual and the bill of sale from the dealership, so that was pretty cool. He sold it to me as a non-runner, said it didn't have spark, and I tested the spark and I got it home and it actually did, and it actually got it to start and run, and drove around the yard a few times. So my plan is just to take the engine out, go through it. I got a gasket set for it and everything. Make sure that the crank and the connecting rod are in good shape. Replace that timing chain in there with some new gaskets. Just make sure everything's good, because you know this thing's older than I am, so you know I don't want to get up in the northern trail and have a breakdown and have an ordeal trying to get off the trails. So that's my plan. Okay, so I'm just working on getting the all the electrical connectors unplugged so we can start removing this engine. And what I've done is I've put dots on these connectors, like 2 dots, 1 dot, so they all be easier to figure out what goes where when I'm plugging everything back in later. Because a lot of these connectors look the same. I don't know if they can plug them into the wrong thing or not. And plus, like this one, you got a white wire going to a brown wire. It has an aftermarket stator, it looks like, because this wiring harness coming from the engine looks a lot cleaner and newer than the rest of the wiring. So the colors don't quite match up, so I'm labeling everything. Well, I was going to work on taking the engine out right now, but then I discovered that I needed an 8mm socket, and I don't have one here, to take off some brackets and stuff connected to the engine. So I'm going to refocus on getting this wiring harness off for now. So basically all this stuff was in the back, voltage regulator and a couple of relays. So I just left all that stuff connected and unbolted it from the frame, but left them plugged in. Up here, where it goes by the handlebars, I'm going to actually unplug all this stuff. So I went ahead and labeled all these connectors to make it easy to plug everything back in later. I'm going to go ahead and unplug all this stuff. I think there's 8 connectors and handful of single wires like this, but these are all seem to be matching colors on either side, so that should be easy enough. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug this stuff and get the wiring harness out of the way. Now that I have everything unhooked, I got to undo this one bracket that goes to the top of the engine right here, because the wires are going through. So right now I'm working on taking these brake calipers off so I can get the control arms and the spindles off the frame. And basically you just take the upper bolt out here for the caliper, and then let's get this hose unconnected from the A-arm so it'll have some room to move. And then you just swing this down and then slide it off the lower pin. Looks like I need to get some new brake pads because these are pretty much metal on metal now. Yep. There's absolutely no pad left. So I'll add that to the list of things I need to get. Alright, so things have escalated a little bit. I decided the best way to go about taking the brakes off is just leave all the hydraulic lines intact and connected because they work. So I think I can make the brake handle actually go through this hole in the frame if I have the handlebar and steering shaft out. So that's what I've been working on. So basically I just took off that lower nut there that holds the bottom of the shaft into that bushing. And then I also took off the tie rods that go into the steering apparatus. The good thing is these tie rods feel like they're in pretty good shape. So anyway, I think I should have everything disconnected, so let's see if we can get this handlebar and steering shaft assembly up out of there. Alright, I'm going to see if I can get this engine out now. I've got everything unhooked, so I'm going to try to shimmy it out of here. Now this is a massive engine compared to like the Blaster engine. It's like twice as big. I imagine it's going to be a little bit heavy. Well, I got this big old engine up here on the hoist, on my table, and I was just looking it over. And I did notice this, before I bought it, but I didn't really think much of it at the time. So obviously what happened here is the chain broke, or jumped off, or something. Let's see, so you can see. You can see where the chain was grinding away right there. And also, I imagine there used to be like a chain guard thing right here that snapped off, and it put a hole in the case right there, and the guy had JB welded the hole shut. So I'm like, well, I didn't really think of it till right now, and I'm like, I hope that, because you can see where it's bulged out, like there's probably a bearing on the that this holds. But I don't think it's the input shaft bearing, because I think that's right here. Because if you look straight across from where the clutch cover is, it's pretty much over here, not here. So what I'm saying is, not sure what's behind this, and if this JB Weld deal is how bad that actually is. If it turned out, this was a pretty much junk engine because of this. I mean, I wouldn't say junk engine, but the case is bad. I'd have to strip it all down, pull the cases apart, put a new case half on this side, and put it all back together, which I guess wouldn't be the end of the world. I don't know if I want to get that far into it or not. Yep, just a few more things to take off here, and then I'll have a bare frame that I can start sanding stuff down and painting. So that'll be pretty nice.